It reflects we are back in session, parties to council are present, all members of our jury are present, and we are continuing to play the interview with Mr. Merritt on February 17th. I believe we were at the top of page 30.
I backed it up a few seconds to try to cover where you started talking, and I didn't get it stopped, so to be right around in there.
So we're probably towards the bottom of page 29.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. No, we'll find it.
Score ready?
Yes.
I can cash those now, so I said just hold on to them until I talk to Joseph's mom and you guys. So he's able to checks. Wasn't it 1,600 and something and 250? And what were they for? They were for crating, installation of some electrical and lights, plumbing, a light bar on one of the waterfalls.
So this is one of the guys that helps.
This is the guy. This is the guy that made
This business address that he gave us, he called the state guy to get
Yes.
Metro.
Right. So anyway, that's what I meant, Joseph. Look, get back to where we were, and that's what I meant Joseph there for, is to get those checks, get checks for me, figure out what we were going to do, when the money was going to be coming in from Paul Mitchell, when the money, when the checks are going to clear, when his money is going to be available for me to get money, and stuff like that, and to figure out where the electrical boxes and stuff goes, because Joseph and I sit down often because, I mean, we're talking projects that are pretty extensive. The Paul Mitchell one is a 24-foot long, like 10-foot tall, I mean, as big as that wall there, a water wall. And so there's just an enormous amount of stuff, and Joseph doesn't manufacture waterfalls. He makes drawings and stuff, but he doesn't know how to build them. He doesn't know how to put them down on paper so that somebody that is building them, which is the Metro, can actually make it happen. And so we get together all the time and go over all of the pictures and all of the...
How long did Joseph come over here?
Once or twice a month. I went up there more than he came down here.
To Fallbrook?
To Fallbrook.
To his house?
His house, yeah.
How long has he been in that house?
4 months, somewhere, 3-4 months, but not too long. I moved his, from his house in San Clemente. I'm the one that actually moved all of his stuff into the big storage units, the pods. I moved everything in his house into there because he was sick. He had pretty serious ear problems. He couldn't stand up without getting dizzy, and I mean he was having some pretty serious problems. Yeah. Vertigo, and he was getting sick to his stomach if he was on his feet for very long. He was going to the doctor like all the time. I mean, he was going back and forth to the doctor. His mother shouldn't. Yeah, I'm almost positive his mother knows.
Did he tell you what was going on with him?
He was just very sick.
How long was that?
Since before he moved from San Clemente. So at least a couple of months before he moved from San Clemente. He was always laying in bed most of the time. Every time I went to San Clemente to see him, he was laying in his bed with his laptop. He wasn't even getting out of bed. So, but then off and on, he would feel great and he'd go play soccer. So I was going to say, soccer. Yeah, I don't think he surfed much lately, but he's played over the last month before the 4th. I know that he went and played at least twice. I know for a fact, because I think the weekend before the 4th, I'm positive, the weekend before the 4th, I'm pretty sure he went, because we were going to go play paintball, and paintball pretty much kills him because you'd think soccer would be worse, but paintball is pretty tough. You have to squat down a lot, and if he plays paintball, he can't walk the next day because his legs hurt him so bad and stuff. So he decided he was going to play soccer instead.
Did he play soccer after the 4th?
After the 4th? I don't think we've been able. I haven't talked to him since the 4th, so I don't know. I know they. Excuse me. Hello. Chase. Yeah. Yes, Chase. Would it be regarding a water feature? A waterfall? Okay, it must be the wrong number, sorry. All right. Okay.
Okay, going back to your, so we can resolve this letter real quick. So you're at Chick-fil-A till about 2 or 3. So you were there
We were there a couple of hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours, yeah.
Was that normal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, with Joseph, that's a very short amount of time.
Did he usually meet you at Chick-fil-A, or did he usually come to your house or here? Or?
We either met at Chick-fil-A, my house, where sometimes we met halfway. You know, we'd
Was his wife with him?
No.
And then he called on his way home a couple times?
Yeah.
And
Now,
from home?
I'm almost positive. Now, I'm trying to remember. I was trying to remember earlier when I wrote that down. I'm almost positive that he paid for Chick-fil-A with his credit card or ATM or whatever. So you'd probably be able to look that up. Because he bought lunch. He always buys lunch.
And he
And he ate. Yeah, he got food for both of us.
So what's the last time you actually, I knew you had seen him on a book.
Right. The last time I talked to him, he was sitting at his desk at home because I needed to talk to, after we went over this stuff, there was still a question on the through box for the electrical on one of the waterfalls. But he had it at home. He had the drawings at home. So when he got there, he called me, and we went over that fairly quickly. But he was sitting. I know that he was sitting at his desk at home, and I could hear the kids in the background, just like always. They were always screaming. But that was the last time we talked to him. It was probably, if I were to guess, 5-ish, maybe 5:30-ish, I don't know.
And he never said anything about going anywhere?
There's
Stressful situations?
when I talked to him at least twice on his way home. So, and he was just going home. He may have been stopping to get food or something, I don't remember, but he was just going home. So, Joseph never was,
What did he say about his wife? You love her?
oh yeah, he definitely loved her. She was a pain in the butt, and he was pussy whipped.
Any domestic violence? Did you ever observe
No.
domestic violence?
Joseph was, no way.
What about her firsthand?
She was verbal, but I don't know. She was always verbal. When I was there a couple of months ago, and we had gotten pizza, and sitting down eating pizza, and I had my own pizza because I like mushroom and onion, and they like other stuff. And I opened the box and grabbed a piece of pizza, just box pizza. I didn't want pizza. What do? You don't eat it. She went off on me because I was teaching her kids bad habits, and that isn't the way you eat food, and you're not going to eat that way in front of my children. And I'm like,
What did she want you to do?
you get a plate and use a fork. So I got a plate and used a fork.
Did you get a scene about it?
Oh, it was, yeah. And that same night, she was, we were talking about corporal punishment. I don't remember how the subject came up, but you saw my little guy. And I told her, I wasn't even telling her, I was telling Joseph, I said, yeah, I had to finally have a session with him because he's really hard-headed. He's the best little boy in the world, but sometimes he gets very stubborn. I had asked him to say he was sorry to his sister, and he wouldn't do it. So I paddled his butt. Set him down, talked to him, told him I loved him. Anyway, make a long story short, it ended up being like a 2-hour session with him, having to spank his butt every 5 minutes or so. And set him back down and say, you have to do this. It's not like I'm not, and we're going to sit here until you do. Finally, she and I told Joseph about this session and the fact that since then, he does what I ask. Sometimes you have to be firm. She went off on me and told me that I broke his spirit, and I mean, she just went off. And what kind of father are you? And corporal punishment is not something you should ever do. And I'm like, well, I just smacked his butt with my open hand, and I knew it didn't hurt him. It's like, oh, you can't be doing that. And she went off for like 5 minutes, and I was just like, okay. So yeah, she's very verbal, extremely verbal, but I don't think she's physical.
Do you know about Justice other son?
Joe, yeah, I've met him several times. Well, a few times.
Does Joseph pick him up often?
Not lately, that I know of.
Do you know why?
Joseph said that he's getting to the age now where he's kind of being more independent.
How old is he, like 12 or 13? 13?
Yeah, that's what Joseph said. So my assumption would be Jonah's getting to the age where he doesn't, he's looking at girls now and different things and going into high school stuff and,
But you haven't seen Jonah around lately?
No. Jonah has not been around that much, if any, lately, that I know of. And
what does Summer say about Jonah?
From everything that I've ever seen, she liked Jonah. She loved him to death. I mean, whenever he was there, they were always,
What's Summer's relationship with Heather, the ex-wife?
Don't think there is one, but I don't think there's one at all. I mean,
what about Joseph and his ex-wife?
I don't know. Joseph does not talk about Heather at all, so. And because of that, I would venture to say that he probably doesn't have any kind of relationship with her except for Jonah. Because if he had anything to do with his ex, even remotely, I probably would know. He would have talked to me about it. Because Joseph, we talk sometimes an hour or two, we just, Joseph never stops talking. Once you get him on the phone, you actually have to physically sometimes just hang up and say, oops, sorry, he talks and talks and talks and talks. So, I don't think...
Summer a jealous person? Or is Joseph a jealous person?
Joseph's not. And Summer was, again, I never saw any kind of jealousy, anything as far as jealousy, but again, if I were to guess, it's in her personality. So, that's just my, it was something that I would assume. It's not something that...
What do you think happened to this family? You have to, we can get around at least every hour What could have possibly happened? You must have been doing the same thing.
We have been, both my wife and I have been talking about it over and over and over again. I've talked to Joseph's mom about it over and over, to Mikey about it, to Dan about it. And Joseph's mom keeps saying, well, maybe they went to Mexico and caught a plane to, wherever. And I'm like, I honestly, it is my, and I would stake my life on it. I don't think Joseph would take those kids into Mexico for any reason. Unless, there's a possibility that it would be into Tijuana, maybe, like how you just go over and there's a little square there. Maybe there. Maybe. But I don't think Joseph would take them in there. I just simply don't.
So what do you believe, though? I want to know what you believe they happened in America, not what Mom thinks.
I don't believe, I haven't been able to form any opinion because, no, because Joseph doesn't have any enemies. Everybody loves Joseph. Everybody. He has no financial problems that I know of. Him and I, things were tight over the last few months because of the economy, but stuff has been, over the last couple of months, things have started picking up, and everything was looking really promising, and Joseph didn't have that much problem financially anyway. I know for sure that his bills are paid, and
do you know if anyone has anything to gain by the loss of Joseph or Summer?
nobody.
Does Summer have life insurance? Do you know?
I have no idea.
How about Joseph?
It's possible. I don't know. I really don't know. But
In their loss, if there's something wrong, or if they're not coming back, how does that affect you?
my business is done. Our entire business.
You have nothing to gain by the loss.
No.
You have nothing to do with whether it was them going somewhere you didn't help participate in.
No, not even that. In any way, shape, or form.
Nothing to do with the disappearance, whether it's good or bad.
Absolutely not. No. We have, I don't know of anybody that has anything to gain by Joseph being gone. I think everybody that I know has everything to lose. Everything. This business stems almost solely around Joseph. He does all of the sales. Dan's trying to send me some emails and try to, need to try to salvage some of the jobs that are trying to send stuff back, because they can't get hold of Joseph, they're pissed off, things like that, and projects that people are calling in for saying, we're ready to do them. Can you get hold of us? And I'm trying to call them and trying to, but I can't do what Joseph can do. There's just no way. I manufacture. I'm a builder. I can't sell.
So in Joseph's absence, are you going to be able to maintain the business, though?
If he's gone permanently?
No, for the next 6 months.
I don't know. Dan is coming here. I have my doubts. Because there's too much. There's just too much to do. Joseph, he did all the drawings. He was on the phone with customers 10 hours a day. Every day, all day long. I don't know of anybody that can step into his shoes and know what he knows. All of the contacts that he has for the types of pumps and the lights and just everything that he knows just isn't there now. And I can still build waterfalls, and I'm quite sure that I'll survive. If I have to go get a job at Home Depot, I'll survive. But I'm not sure that we'll be able to make the waterfall company continue. It depends a lot on Dan. If he can step up and get some stuff done, and he says he's trying, he says he's working on it, he's trying to get some sales done. I just made, matter of fact, this one right here, I sold this one, but this one was one that I had already been working on with Joseph, so it was easy, it was nothing. There's another one that Dan sent me that I'm working on right now, but
And Dan's in Hawaii,
Dan's flying here today. He'll be here today.
but you're sure he was in Hawaii.
Well,
How long has he been in Hawaii?
as long as I've known Joseph, as far as I know,
So 2.5 years?
I think so. I've never known him to not be in Hawaii. I mean, whenever Joseph talks about him, it's,
But you met Dan.
I've never met Dan.
Oh, you know.
I met Mikey.
You've only talked to Dan on the phone because of this.
And only over the last week. I've never talked, before this happened with Joseph, I never talked to Dan ever. I didn't even, I knew of his existence. I knew his role in Joseph's business. I knew that Joseph had almost paid him off, and I think he was paying him $50,000 for his part of the business. I think that was the number. I'm not even sure about that, but I know that he only had $2,000 left to pay. And Joseph was going to then own Earth Inspired Products and just pay him to run the website then, instead of them being partners. Because up until he paid him off, he was going to be his partner. I know that. Joseph talked about that all the time, because Joseph was always afraid. 6-7 months ago, Joseph and Dan had a spat. I don't know exactly how deep it was or anything, but it was 6 or 7 months ago, I think, maybe 8 months, I don't know. But they decided at that time that Joseph was going to pay him for his part of the business and for what he had done to build the websites and stuff, because apparently Dan is extremely adept at website building, and he's like a big hacker from what I gather. Even from him personally, when I talked to him over the last week, I was talking to him the other day, and he said I said something about him knowing the web, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not a person that you want to piss off on the web." That type of thing. And I said, "Yeah, I know. Joseph told me that you can. There's a lot you can do, and you could shut the website down," because Joseph was afraid that he was just going to push the button and the website be gone, because that's what Dan said. They were, when they clashed, Dan said, "Look, this is what I want, and I don't have to continue working this website." And so Joseph made a deal with him to buy his part of it, because Dan wasn't making enough money. I don't even know what it was, but I know a while back they decided that they were going to Joseph was going to buy him out, and then he was just going to run the website. That's the extent of it that I know of. But Dan is coming here. He's supposed to be here.
I talked to him. He's actually willing to meet with me again.
Oh, good.
I talked to him on the phone. Who drove which vehicle in Joseph's family?
Summer drove the truck most of the time.
Which truck?
The green Dodge.
Okay.
Pickup truck. And Joseph most of the time drove the little white car.
The white car.
Was the hatchback. I think it's a Trooper or something. Yeah. He drove that most of the time, unless they were going someplace to
What
get
was he driving on the 4th?
the white car.
The white Trooper.
The white Trooper.
Nobody with him.
Nobody with him.
Do you know if the child seats were in there? Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay.
Does he have a business vehicle?
That's his two cars. He used to have a BMW, but he sold it to one of his soccer buddies.
What about a van or a truck that says EIP or Earth something products?
I know. No, I don't think he has. The only two cars he has is those two.
And Detective Duval interrupted you. You were about to say when they were together, they drove
The white car.
the white car, not the truck.
Right. Yeah, they always, if they were going any place, grocery store, if they were taking the kids, they went in the white car.
Have you ever driven a white vehicle? Have you ever been in it?
Yeah. When the last time I was in it, we went to Camp Pendleton. We played paintball, Camp Pendleton.
How long ago?
Month and a half, maybe.
So you're front passenger,
Front passenger,
but never driven.
never driven it.
When Summer and Joe were together, who drove?
Usually, I think Joseph. I don't ever remember seeing Summer driving. And I think Joseph.
And you've never been inside of their house?
Oh, I've been inside of their house.
Oh, no, you said you helped them move.
But besides that, I've been inside their house. I mean, I'm the one that built the shed where the dogs were. I built that for him. I made the wooden platform. I dug all that out because Joseph has been sick. I dug it out, put the platform down, built the shed for him, moved most of their stuff in.
Did he pay you to do that?
He's my best friend. No, he has been sick for a while, and Summer was on his butt about getting the shed done. And she wanted it because it was all in the garage, and she wanted him to get the garage cleaned out because she wanted the pods to get there, and the stuff that was in the pods, a lot of it was going to end up in the garage because they were still working on the floors and stuff. I have no idea. I loaded them at the house in San Clemente, and they had pod people come and get them, and they took them.
Do you know the company?
Is it the white?
It's a big white pod. I think it says pod. Yeah, it was a big white one. And I think it had a world on it. An Earth on it, I think. I don't remember. There's two pods, one 20 feet, I think, and one 16 feet or something like that. I think there's two pods. I filled them both. So, along with Summer's mom, they packed a lot of the stuff packed in there. But any of the big stuff, all the stuff that came out of Joseph's house, out of his garage, that went into those pods, I did.
Was Mike there when you were packing?
Mike never helped, no.
Did you have to repack the pod?
Yeah. Because of Summer.
Well, how did that go down?
Oh, well, Summer had left with her mother to go get food.
With her mother?
Summer's mother. Yeah.
Summer and Summer's mother.
Correct. Summer and her mother.
Do you know what her name is?
I don't remember her name. I was there for 3 days, helping them pack and stuff. She was there the whole time, but she wasn't all that memorable. I don't even remember her name.
Do you think their relationship was mother-daughter? Was it good?
Same fine. Yeah, same thing. They were fine. The reason I had to repack the pod is because while they were gone, I packed a whole bunch of stuff in. I filled like a third of the pod. at least a third of it. And at the end of it, we were just finishing up taking a bunch of stuff out of the garage. Summer comes home, and as she's packing the pod, she looks in. Oh, no, that's not going to do. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can, may not be the best packer in the world, but I packed pretty darn tight because they had to fit a lot of stuff in those pods. So she went off on Joseph about the fact that that's not going to work and he needs to take everything out. And I'm like, okay. We let them argue. I let them argue about it for about 3 or 4 minutes. And she was pretty adamant about it was coming out, and her and her mother was going to pack it and show us how that it was going to be packed right. So they argued about it for a couple minutes, and finally, I was just standing there, kind of like, okay. So finally, I just went over and started. I took everything out of the pot. Yeah. And
did Summer direct you to do that, or were you just saving Joseph?
I was just kind of saving Joseph. Yeah. No, Summer didn't ask me to. Summer was always very, unless she had something like an outburst, like with the thing about the corporal punishment or the pizza. She always had little things like that. But for the most part, I mean, I went over there 3 days straight, all day long. From 8 o'clock in the morning at the latest, I got there till 8 o'clock at night, and I was working my butt off the whole time. I mean, we moved all of the terracotta pots and the plants and stuff over to his mother's house. I mean, it was just, he had a lot of stuff. So,
I mean, that makes sense.
Landlord gave him notice.
How come?
He told me. The next door neighbor was complaining about all the stuff in the driveway. Joseph, from half of the driveway to back to his garage, it was I think it's a duplex that he was in. Half of his driveway, all the way back to the garage, was nothing but kids' toys, and he put up a fence in the driveway itself, and had that shed there, and it was just sprung with all kinds of stuff. It was a mess. It was a pretty big mess. And the front lady, I believe, I think it's a woman up there, she was complaining about all the stuff and everything, and they went back and forth with the landlord a little bit, I think, and then the landlord just gave him notice. And at that time, Joseph had already been looking for a house anyway, so he just said, okay, fine. And the reason I had to go over and help them that 3 days in a row, because they were planning on packing those pods over a week or so. The problem was the landlord had given them notice to move, and they got it misconstrued. They got a notice from the court that they were supposed to respond to, and Joseph didn't respond, Summer didn't respond, and so nobody responded. And so when they finally looked at the paper, it was like 3 days before they had to be completely out of there. 3 or 4 days. And they couldn't go back to court and say, can I have more time? It was just like, so Summer was pissed off at Joseph, and Joseph was pissed off at Summer about that, because they had to get these pods and get them there and get it. And that's why I was there, because Joseph couldn't have done it. It was impossible.
What would you say the interior of the residence in San Clemente looked like?
About like the interior of my house most of the time, the kids. I mean, except a lot hairier with their big dog. I mean, they had hair on the floor.
Would you call it neat and orderly, or messy,
Most of the time it was messy. But most of the time my house is messy, so that's because I spent
Your house is cleaner than what I've seen in the house where they were.
Oh, much. It is now. Oh, well, it was before I started, but I actually spent a half an hour or so cleaning up before you got there because I didn't, we had kids' toys and stuff, and
It looked pretty clean to me.
pretty clothes laying around. So I picked up most of my stuff before you got there, but summer, the best that I can remember every time I went over, sometimes it would be almost spotless, and then the rest of the time it would be strewn, you know. But with kids, you know, that's just what it is. I
Did
mean,
they leave food out?
no, she kept the dishes. Well, her and him, he did the dishes also. It wasn't unsanitary by any means, other than the dog hair on the floor, but, you know, how unsanitary dog hair. It wasn't bad. I mean, I didn't feel like I couldn't sit down or something in her house. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, you had to step over some things every once in a while.
Didn't you help paint down there? Did you help paint and stuff?
His apartment?
No, the house. The new house.
No.
Oh, yeah. So let's go from February 4th, and I forgot to ask you these questions. February 4th, this incident, telephone calls. When do you next try to contact Joe? Or Joey? What do you call him, Joseph?
Joseph. Yeah, I've always known him as Joseph.
Okay.
I don't call him. I know. I just found out that Mikey, and his mom called him Joey, and I know Summer always called him Giuseppe, but I always knew him as Joseph.
Okay.
I've
When
never.
was the next time you tried to contact him?
Probably Friday, I'm sure. I mean,
The next day?
yeah, I'm sure.
By telephone?
By telephone, yeah.
And did you try again on Saturday?
I'm quite sure that I probably tried almost every day, and probably a few times a day. There's no doubt.
And when did you go back down there? And what inspired you to do that?
Monday, Tuesday. I can't remember whether it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't remember which day it was. Joseph's mom may remember the exact day. I drove up to Joseph's house on Tuesday or Wednesday, so it would be the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 9th or 10th, I believe. Because I hadn't been able to get hold of Joseph, and we've got just tons of, bids we were working on.
Okay, let's say the 9th. Do you say 9th or 10th is the first time? That would be Tuesday. February 9th is Tuesday.
Yeah, 9th or 10th then,
You went down to the house,
to Joseph's house.
and what did you do?
Knocked on the door, rang the doorbell. His white car wasn't there. Dogs were barking. I went back and looked at the dogs.
Did you see any notifications on the door?
No.
Nothing. Okay.
Went back into the backyard, looked at the dogs. The water dish and there was a bag of food just left in the thing, or in the shed, and there was their water dish inside the shed was empty. They had no water. So I filled the water dish and put it back
Did
into.
it look like that bag was left for long-term feeding? Or was it a bag that the dogs got to and opened up?
No, he never kept the dog food in the shed. That's the first I've ever seen the dogs in the shed. Ever. The dogs stayed in the house. At night, they slept in the house. She put the puppy up in the laundry room, I think. There's
So the dogs only went out to go to the bathroom?
no, they were out most of the day, almost all day. They were outside. They were inside at night. They never kept them outside. Never.
But where was the dog food kept? Do you have any knowledge?
I don't know. I remember Joseph feeding them, but I don't remember where he got the
So what I'm getting at, and to help me with this, is I don't know them. I don't know this dog.
Okay.
But if I'm his friend and I walk into the backyard and I see this shed open with a bag of dog food and an empty water bowl, is that normal?
No, that's, well, especially, I couldn't get hold of Joseph all the way from, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or whatever day it was. Finally went down there. I was just like, I left a message saying, dude, call me, and we've got to get this stuff resolved, and he never called me back. So I drove up there. When I saw the water dish was empty, so I filled it up and put it back in the shed. From there, I went straight down to his mom's house.
Did you touch the dog food bag?
I don't remember touching the button. No, I don't think so.
And the reason I ask you that is, who put it out there? If that's not normal for Joseph, it's not normal for Summer.
I wouldn't
Put that out there.
I don't know. I would not see Joseph leaving his dogs outside. Joseph is the one that always brought them in, always. When it got this time of night, he would open the door and let the dogs in. That's just the way it was. The kids would play with the puppy, and then after a while, Summer would take the puppy up and put the puppy in the laundry room. That was their kind of routine.
What else did you see around the house?
That's it. I knocked on the door, wanted the dog.
Did you notice any windows open, any doors unlocked?
Not that day, on Tuesday, no. I know the doors were locked because I tried the back door and the front door. Doors were locked. Did not notice any windows or anything open because I wasn't looking. Whenever that was, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. Went down from there. I went straight down to his mom's, and she happened to be home.
Where does she live?
She lives off of Temescal Canyon. What's that? No. She lives down on the way. No, she lives down on the way back to my house. I'm trying to Temescal Canyon. You passed it on the way here. What's the name of it? Don?
Blake Elsinore?
No. Way this side of Lake Elsinore. It's just above Corona.
Riverside?
No, above Riverside, above Corona. If you're going up the 15, you pass the 91, and you go up about 6 or 7 miles. No,
Further?
beyond Norco. About 6 or 7, 8 miles, maybe 10, you'll hit Temescal Canyon. When you get off on Temescal Canyon, you go right, and there's a big place, Tom's Farms. You know where Tom's Farms is?
I've heard of it.
Okay, that's the exit you get off on. It's Tom's Farms. I knew where she lived because all of Joseph's pots and a lot of stuff from his house went into her garage and all around her house. She had like 40 or 50 plants. I mean, just in pots and all kinds, tons of terracotta pots and all kinds of stuff that when they were moving, we took to her house, to Joseph's mom, just kind of strewed them all around and mixed them in her plants until Joseph could pick them up after he moved into his house. So I went and talked to her. I knocked on the door.
This is the first visit in 9 or 10.
Right. And I said, "Do you have any idea where Joseph is? I can't reach him. I can't find him." And she said no. And she said she hadn't heard from him either, but she said that's not unusual. And she goes, "I'll try to get hold of him." I said, "Please, if you get hold of him, let him know, Chase is looking for him." And we talked for a few minutes, not long. And I just said, can you please let me know if you get hold of him? And she was going to call Mikey to see if he had heard from him and call Summers' number.
So then when's the next time we go down?
See, Tuesday. Thursday. I think it was Friday. And that's when I talked to Mikey.
12.
11. Oh, 12. Correct.
Yeah, I think it was Friday. It's all a little bit of a blur, but I'm almost positive it was Friday because that's the day that I talked to Mikey.
Did you meet Mike?
No, I didn't meet him there then.
Okay, so you went down there, talked to Mike, you went down the house.
Right.
And what'd you do?
Went, knocked on the door, went to a couple of the neighbors to see if they had seen him, but all the damn neighbors none of them were home. Went into the backyard. That's when I called Mikey and Joe's mom and said, somebody's taking care of the dogs. Because the water hole that I filled and put in the shed was now in the backyard underneath the faucet. Somebody had put it under the faucet and had the water dripping into it. So like they were taking care of the dogs. So I told Mikey that, and I told his mom that. And his mom said, well, if he's having somebody take care of the dogs, and I said, well, somebody's taking care of the dogs. I said, but I don't know whether he's having somebody take care of the dogs. I said, somebody moved the water dish for sure, but I said, I don't think Joseph would put these dogs out there. I don't think he would leave them outside. I think he would have somebody, actually I think he would probably put them in one of those old dog hotels. That's the type Joseph is.
So what was the condition of the house, though? Doors, windows?
Okay, that day, I was looking through the windows trying to see if I could, see anything because I told Mikey that I would. And Joseph's office window was partway open on that day. And I looked. Yes, dear. You're going to the bank? Okay. Well, I don't know how long we're going to be, so whatever. That's all right. I did notice that the rear office window was partway open. Okay.
Was the screen on?
Screen was on. I looked through the slats. His desk light was on. That's all I could see. I could barely see through from the glass door. Couldn't really see much. Through the window in the front, you can see about this much. There's about the slats were raised about this much, so I could see the living room, but that's all. I really couldn't see anything. So I told Mikey, I said, you guys should probably come and call the police and have this checked out. You guys need to get down there. They didn't that day. I went on back home. They didn't that day. I don't remember.
You didn't go in?
No, I did not. No, I'm not going to. I mean, I say I'm not going to, but I actually considered it. I was like,
Sure.
Joseph really wouldn't have cared if I had done it, but I just.
We're at the middle of page 56 in the transcript, and we'll go ahead and take our evening recess at this time. Council, folks, don't need to repeat it. to discuss. I'm gonna meet with them at 9 in the morning. We should be done with that. So we'll have you come back 9:30 as always, 9:30 tomorrow morning. Again, keep in mind the admonitions, not to form or express any opinions about the case, not to discuss the case or allow anyone to discuss it with you. Again, that means not discussing anything about the case, any of the testimony, any of the witnesses, exhibits, parties, attorneys, or anyone else involved in the case. We'll see everyone back at 9:30 tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for council.